Our 40-acre working model farm is just part of what makes the larger 320-acre Dodge Nature Center unique. It's nestled within an urban setting just 4 miles from downtown St. Paul, which was all part of the original vision of Mrs. Olivia Dodge.
I began to worry because there were signs all over saying, for sale. This was all farmland, truck farming land. And all the farmers were having to sell out because of the big combines. Their day was over. And I couldn't sleep nights worrying about what was going to happen to that land. The developers were all roaring in and getting ready to not do a very good job, I'm afraid. But it was a woman who did tell me, maybe a nature center. And it just like a light went off in my head. I can't tell you how thrilled I was because we were saving the land. We were going to use it to teach children to love nature, to become good stewards.
This wonderful piece of land is characterized by a variety of habitats, including rich woodland areas dotted with ponds and streams. It's accessible by 6 miles of walking trails, and a floating boardwalk provides access to the wetland area.
Good morning, everybody.
Since 1967, we have provided a place where school children and their families can learn about nature in an outdoor school setting. And the number of students continues to grow. Currently, we teach nature appreciation to more than 40,000 children every year.
We actually have one of the largest staffs of naturalists for a nature center because of our educational mission.
And we're going to put a sticker on this butterfly.
Naturalists teach 30 different nature programs that correspond to the changing seasons for students in preschool through 6th grade. We also have another 20 programs on sustainable agriculture. For 3 to 5-year-olds, there's a unique preschool whose curriculum is nature-based, one of the very first in the United States. And finally, we have year-round community events, like the annual Autumn Adventure, that brings families to Dodge for learning and enjoyment.
This farm is unique because it's actually a farm that was a working farm for 100 years maybe, and 4.5 miles south of downtown. You can't beat that. And for being an agricultural state, Minnesota's a big agricultural state, a lot of the kids that have grown up in the city don't get to experience what is a big part of the heritage of this state. So it's a chance for kids that live in the city to come out and see animals, see plants, see what farming is all about. The nice thing about this farm is we follow year-round. And so we have animals, we have livestock, so that means breeding in the fall and babies in the spring, shearing the sheep, milking the goats. And so that follows a cycle where you're following the growth of the pastures and taking care of the grass that way.
Our potatoes are bigger than the watermelon.
We do a family garden program, which runs from end of April to beginning of October. But then for me, then the work starts in February, starting seeds and all that kind of stuff. We do syruping, maple syruping in sort of March, April, end of February, depending on the weather. Bees, beekeeping, that's sort of August, September. Apple orchards, so the apple stuff is September, October. And so it's a way to teach farming, but farming in an environmental context. And so that, I think, is pretty unique.
We send 178 to 180 children through here every year, and these are children who've had this experience, and families who've had this experience, and they'll continue to come back and participate in Nature Center programs as they get older. They've discovered caterpillars that we've hatched into monarchs. They've gathered eggs at the farm to hatch later. They've built forts in the woods. They've been outside, and with the trend toward childhood obesity and diabetes and all the problems, these children have spent the day being active and being outdoors. And that's a gift we can give them.
A lot of the way we talk to children, I think, is let's explore that. Let's watch and see what happens. And that, I think, develops curiosity.
I haven't caught anything yet, but I'm looking in there for things I might want to catch, or I might catch.
That is the skin of a dragonfly, and it shed its skin, just like a snake sheds its skin. But it's kind of neat. It has all the parts of the body of the dragonfly.
I just watched the process of the children, the amazement, the awe, and how they were pulled into what was happening here. And also, I watched my children become the new stewards of the environment.
As parents, we have been real active and really appreciated being here with our children. And that's something different about Dodge Nature Center and the preschool is they really encourage parent involvement.
He's licking his lips. Arias, why don't you try with the shovel, just to loosen the soil around it. See if that helps at all.
Just being here and giving the children lots of opportunities to be on the Nature Center grounds and take ownership of it. I think the playground is a good example of that. They have a lot of ownership. Like with the garden, this used to be all sod and the children actually helped pull back the sod to form the garden a couple of years ago. When you give them that ownership, they have a lot of respect.
You can. Right now, you do not have to walk in a line. There's not a line leader. You may spread out and follow a friend or go wherever you would like to explore. Look on the ground. Ooh, grasshoppers will hop ahead of you. In my role as a naturalist, I develop the connection between the natural world and the kids that come out here. At a very early age, it's getting them to sense with wonder that this is something special and important.
This monarch will be number 5, 6, 7. It's going to grab hold, and then it'll probably just fly away. And there it went.
So we will head out to the buckthorn spot.
Here's some buckthorn right here.
We want them to get their senses activated so that when they're walking through and the wind is blowing in the leaves, they're noticing which trees it's blowing in. They're noticing where the noise is coming from.
Coming down!
Keep going. Keep going. We will break this thing yet. When we take this one out, we're making the land look a lot more like it did 200 years ago. And that's what our goal is for this restoration. We want the land to look like what it did 200 years ago, not for us, but for the animals and plants that live here. That next tree over will benefit from these trees not being here.
Well, we're gonna go right from here. Look how close she gets to the ground there. Isn't that awesome when she does that? She almost hit the perch.
Teachers have a lot of demands on them and a lot of demands on their time at the moment. What we want to do is offer not just a field trip, but something that fits in seamlessly to their curriculum to offer them the best educational opportunity that could start at their classroom, continues out here, and then continues in their classroom as well.
A lot of us in the 70s grew up with a place, a creek that we could go play by or playing hide and seek in the woods, or there's a way that we're connected to nature just because of the way we grew up.
My father knew every bird's call, that kind of thing, and he'd tell me, you know, and I wished I knew how that. I still don't. I still can't do it. But there was that love of nature. And
There she goes. Yeah, good girl.
Unless you have a knowledge and understanding of the other creatures of the natural world, you have no desire to protect it, no desire to make decisions to preserve it.
It brings families in to experience nature and walk away knowing that they can make a difference to the natural world. If this weren't here, something would be lost in the community spirit. There would be definitely a hole left there where people wouldn't be able to connect with all the things that live around them.
We're trying to instill a sense of wonder and create a sense of stewardship in young children and their families. Their families are very affected by what happens here as well, and send these children out into the world with an appreciation of beauty and a sense of caring for their environment.